We're looking at the unfortunate collapse of a 7-story affair. Reportedly, it was a 3-story affair as far as approvals went, but it went up to the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and then the 7th, and then there were warnings, there were alerts, and then it came down ultimately. And here we are, our first guest, Dr. Femi Oke-Osanyiintolu, the Permanent Secretary in the Emergency Management Agency of Lagos, LASEMA, has been telling us, the role of builders. Government has not been lacking, according to Dr. Osanyiintolu, in terms of regulations, but people don't do their own part. People infringe on all these emergency directives. So that's where we left it, hoping that we can get better. But our guest this time is architect Akinola George. Mr. George is a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. He's also the immediate past president, BCPG, and BCPG stands for Building Collapse Prevention Guild. A fine morning to you, Architect George.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure, really. So maybe let me just take I paraphrased everything in that summary there. So let me take what would be your contribution to this conversation, because it's a bit frustrating the way people are able to flout emergency directives that then end up in catastrophes like this.
Number one, I wasn't part of the paraphrasing that you did at the beginning. I wasn't listening to the program. But if what you're talking about is this recent collapse at Oniru Estate, we're still going to keep repeating the same.
Okay. It's at Oba Idou Oniru Street in Lekki, where this 7-story structure came down. But reports have it that it was approved. Yeah. It was approved as a 3-story structure. It went up to 7 and then collapsed. And before it collapsed, there had been alerts. Even the Kabiyesi, Oba Oniru himself, had alerted government. But still, work continued with the result that we're talking about. What? 3 dead now. Dr. Osanyiintolu just confirmed 1 extra from the news we had from yesterday, out of the possible 7 that 6 or 7 that are there. So the real value that we can get from you is stemming from the fact that you are the immediate past president of Building Collapse Prevention Guild. And so I would like to ask you, sir, how effective do you think such a guild is? What can it add to these situations? Because this is not fresh. This is not new. It's happened again and again and again and again. Architect George.
All right. Thank you. Let me just quickly. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue. We can hear you. It looks. I'm hearing that the network is not the most favorable in terms of quality. However, we'll stay with it, and we'll see if we can get a better quality. I think they call it bandwidth and that kind of a thing that will enable us hear you. Apparently, when you speak, it doesn't come through, and when it does come through, it's distorted. And so this is what we have on our hands. But the story is well known since this disaster. In the wee hours around 3. Mr. George has called in from Ikeja, not the architect George we are seeking to speak with, but Mr. George. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yari.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Yeah, Uncle Yari, I am wondering why the Lagos State government is not stand enough on this building collapse. Because see the number of buildings that have collapsed and the reasons that are being adduced. Somebody was saying at the site, I watched a television report yesterday when your reporter was interviewing someone, and he said that the building itself was sealed, and that person came dropping names of government officials that gave him permission to continue.
Yeah.
And each time they try to implement the rules, the man intimidates them and gets away with it. How do you do that to a government that is not complicit? Are there no laws? If the person is breaking the law, the government can prosecute the person. Up to now, as we speak, they have not even disclosed the name of that person. That is a person that should be named and shamed because he has killed 3 people yesterday. And then, how about the regulating authority in Lagos? There must be some people there who are giving approvals to these people or encouraging them in one way or the other. We want to hear or see some of those officials prosecuted. The government should also do in-house cleaning before too many people die through building collapse. This is just the way I see it. The government needs to clean its own house first and then implement the rules. If you break the rules, no matter how highly placed you are, you should be prosecuted. Let people see you dealt with before you kill others. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. It's the way most right-thinking members of society will also see it. But, put some of these questions to Dr. Oke-Osanyiintolu, and he is the Perm Sec, as I said, of LASEMA, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency. But he was answering to the best of his ability as a disaster manager, but he was also saying that there are specialist organs of government and town, control, that would be better placed to answer some of those questions. But it is very frustrating, especially when you put it side by side with Lagos being the center of excellence in many other areas. And the point is they don't want to have exceptions to that caliber of being seen as the center of excellence. It remains to be understood, really, why people will be so, quote-unquote, powerful to be able to spit in the face, so to speak, of emergency directives in Lagos State. If it comes, it's official, which what Mr. George just said. I saw a senior official in there telling us that when they go to try to do their work, people start dropping names. I mean, it can be frustrating. It doesn't matter what name you're dropping. If it is infringing a rule, thereby making you in breach of an effective, legitimate order, I don't know why people can't just stand their guns, but I don't know. I don't want to go into it. Just is not as easily understandable is the situation, as Mr. George himself said. Maybe there are limitations, maybe there are some issues that we don't know all about, but it seems that nobody, least of all Lagos State government, wants one person to die whose death could have been prevented, not to mention 2 or 3 at the moment. God knows how many. We hope it is just the 3 and the others can be rescued. But this is the problem. This is what happens. Even though Dr. Oke-Osanyiintolu was trying to explain that, government is government with a human face, sometimes people, need to get stern. If it could possibly lead to a loss of lives, I imagine, is what most people will think. But again, at least Dr. Oke-Osanyiintolu, he's a government official as well, and he sort of segmented it carefully, saying that, look, speaking as a disaster manager, there are other experts that can answer to those questions. He actually blamed the people. Is Dr. Oke-Osanyiintolu back?
I'm still there.
Oh, okay, excellent. So this is the situation. Maybe you heard people come in and they were also expressing their frustration. And so as not to be repeating yourself, you had said earlier that, look, you can speak as a disaster manager, but those matters about how can people flout with impunity legitimate government emergency directives? Because what is more of an emergency than to be told that that building, is insecure? And, government, I don't know, I don't know if government could put security men all around it, but the fact that people can tell officials, government officials, as one of your officials said, name drop that XYZ said we should continue. That's the part that people are saying something possibly has to change. I don't know, unless you want to go back to the question that I had asked earlier, which is that what lessons do you think we can take away from this? You have blamed the people. You have blamed the people. You have explained that the people have been irresponsible. Well, I understand that. But what lessons do you think we can take going forward? Because my fear is that this might happen again.
But the lesson learned as a disaster manager, right now, we will discuss with the Ministry of Justice that maybe they can publish the names of those that are taken to court, because I'm aware that there are some sanctions being done, and I'm aware that there are some culprits that the Lagos State has taken to court, and the case is still ongoing. So moving forward, maybe if the law permits, maybe we can publish the name of those people that has been sanctioned, those people that has been taken to court, so that the people of Lagos State, the good people of Lagos State, will not think that we are folding our arms or shielding the culprits. I'm 100% sure that we have done the needful in terms of sanctioning.
Has His Excellency the Governor made any statement yet? Do you know, Femi?
All what we are doing it under the watch of Mr. Governor. In fact, the Deputy Governor has visited the scene of the collapsed building, and all what we are doing from the beginning, we've been communicating with the Mr. Governor, and all our response are under the watch of Mr. Governor. And I'm sure politically we will come up with after doing a thorough investigations, we will come up with a statement.
Can I take it for granted, Femi, do you think that as a result of this unfortunate event, maybe the government will go into overdrive, inspecting other disasters waiting to happen, and possibly coming up with a different strategy, because this was warned about. There are others that might have been warned about. I mean, can one expect to see that government is just going to get, quote unquote, almost draconian in inspecting buildings that have danger alerts on them?
Well, you know, in Lagos, different strategic to different disaster.
One moment, I beg your pardon, Femi. Femi, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Femi, but a viewer just called in. Let me see if I can get that call and I'll come straight back to you. Good morning, Ada in Jos. Well. Ada in Jos. Hello, we can hear you. Go ahead, please. Hello. I can hear you. Hello. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. Mr. Yori, let me tell you something. This building collapsing is becoming one too many nationwide, especially in Lagos, the Center for Excellence. Where is the excellence if the governor cannot stem the tide? If you ask me, the building industry itself has collapsed. I'm happy with the building. Some of the people around you there are talking about, they are part of it. It's even an embarrassment for them. And you know why this continues? It's because nobody is sanctioned. Even when there's a court case, they're having their day in court. The court case they will bribe their way through, and that court case will drag till eternity. That is the problem. So there's no deterrent. Enforcement of laws help to regulate people's behavior. People are abroad, they behave themselves, not because they are white skin. It's because of the institutions they have strong institutions. But in Nigeria, when it collapses, after 7 days, I call it a 9 days wonder. You talk about it for a week or two, it dies. That is it. I've never heard of anybody being prosecuted and then serving a jail term. I've never heard it. Let them publish the names of those people. It's really unfortunate. Every day, people will be dying. It's either if it's now Boko Haram, it's this one, that one. All the same, let's not give up on this country.
Thank you very much for calling in, Ada. One can even Dr. Femi Oke-Osanyiintolu, I'm sure, can relate to it. But Dr. Oke-Osanyiintolu, it's a frustrating thing because even the last major one, what collapsed, was that an 11-story building that collapsed with this Nigerian developer who had successfully developed properties outside Nigeria, I believe in South Africa and the UK. And people noticed that those buildings are fine, the ones he developed outside of the country. And some commentators at the time said, well, the difference is that there are no compromises in all the orders, all the regulations, all the routines. Absolutely no compromises are allowed in those terrains. But in Nigeria, it was felt, one has to prove these things, it was felt that because people can be a bit more relaxed about this whole matter is why we had that tragedy. So these are the things that, I don't know, government is just going to, as you said, people need to change their ways. Perhaps government also needs to up its game, especially as it relates to these things that will cause loss of lives. Dr. Oke-Osanyiintolu, if you're still with me, I know you and your team, you're battling hell for leather, doing everything that you can to, ameliorate the situation. But I guess we want to go into the sequence where you prevent the situation from happening as we go along. Dr. Osanyiintolu? Dr. Osanyiintolu?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes. So I was wondering if that was a bit uncomfortable or whether you agree with the fact that...
No, it's not uncomfortable. You see, the most important thing is safety of life and properties. And we will do everything that is humanly possible as a government to ensure safety of life and properties. And that is why when you mention the case of the building that collapsed at Gerard at Ikoyi,
that's it.
You can see
Gerard
that
Ikoyi.
Yes, at Ikoyi, you can see that the government came up with white paper. You can see that the government set up a panel. You can see that the government set up a judiciary of inquiry on the incident. And you can see that all what has been passed has been taken to executive council, and they are looking at it holistically. They are coming up with a lot of regulations. They are coming up with a lot of measures that we are going to abide in. And you can see that subsequently, we put a lot of machinery in place.
Okay.
And lesson learned now, which we are going to discuss with the Minister of Justice, that is it possible that we should publish the names of those people that has been sanctioned? Can we publish the cases that is ongoing in our court so that they will be able to see that we are not folding our hands, that we are doing a lot of sanctioning?
Indeed.
And secondly, all these, we've carried out stakeholders meeting, all these developers, they belong to certain bodies. All these bodies are being carried along. The building association were there with us yesterday.
Unfortunately, yes.
The Sun are with us.
We wanted to speak with
we are working with all the key stakeholders.
Sure. We had wanted to speak with the immediate past president of the Building Collapse Prevention Guild, but that wasn't too possible. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Oke-Osanyiintolu, Dr. Olufemi Oke-Osanyiintolu, Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Emergency Agency, Management Agency, LASEMA. You're always up and around and up and doing along with all your professional colleagues when we have these kind of disasters. But that's the point. We don't want you to be up and doing and around too frequently. because you're about disaster management, and we just hope that going forward, there will not be too many more of those disasters for you to manage. I'm sure that's a prayer you yourself would say amen to. But thank you very much, Dr. Oke-Osanyiintolu, for coming on the program this morning and on the station again. Thank you. Okay, so that's our program today. We're going to have to leave it there. Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for being with us and for calling in, those of you that could. That's where we're going to have to leave it today. If there's any update, of course, we'll bring it to you. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.